Hello, animal lovers. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Furthest from the Wild. I am your host, Alex Tello. It's been some months since I've been on hiatus, but I am back and I have some new podcasts and content headed your way. Today, I have a very special guest. Her name is Georja Umano, and she is a vegan animal activist with a new book called Terriers in the Jungle. This is an amazing book, and I highly recommend it. If you like our content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button. Come say hello. We'd love to hear from you. So, hi, Georgia. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. It's an honor to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and some of the things that been working on lately?
Sure. Thank you, Alex. It's fun to be here with you, and I appreciate your invitation. Um, I recently I'd call myself a novelist because I wrote my first novel last year. It was published, and it's won 8 awards. So
Wow.
not bad for a first time, you know.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great.
and and it's also based on my personal experiences living in Africa. Before that, I was an actress for a long time, and then I did stand-up comedy, and actually, what changed me when I got a dog, in 1997, and I started becoming more and more interested in animals and learning more about them. And so I eventually became interested in elephants.
Okay.
And then I started writing journalism about elephants and going to Africa and talking to conservationists.
So tell me a little bit about your novel, how you got started writing that, what inspired you to get that started.
Okay, well, this is the novel, Terriers in the Jungle. I don't know if you could see that well, but
Yeah.
that's my two dogs, Roxy and Romeo, and that's one of my adopted elephants, Nilai, in Kenya. And I went to Africa 2018. I had been to Kenya a few times. I was very fortunate as a journalist writing about elephants and conservation. I had an opportunity to go on safari, stay in lodges. So I kept going because those things are pretty expensive. So
Yeah.
it was a great opportunity. And I always had a fabulous time there and loved it and just getting more and more involved. And so in 2017, I was there with my husband, and I said, it's so wonderful here. We should try living here. I'd like to stay closer to the wildlife and see if I can help in another way.
Yeah.
And fortunately, he said, okay, because he's a writer and he has projects he can do anywhere.
Right.
So we came home and made all the arrangements, and we moved over, and we brought our two little dogs with us because we're not going to leave them behind. We didn't
Sure.
know how long we would stay. We said, well, maybe we'll never come back. We don't know. We rented out our place. Um, so it was quite an adventure. And besides the things I ended up doing, which I could talk about in a sec, my dogs were having their own adventures.
Yeah.
So I started noticing them and, writing things down, took a lot of photos. And then I just thought, wow, this would be an interesting thing to say how the dogs feel about Kenya, so because I'm very close with my dogs. I mean, I'm just they're my best friends,
Sure.
and I feel like I can read their minds a lot of times. So I just started writing down their experiences from their point of view. So they would say what it was like for them before they went to Africa
Mm-hmm.
and after they got there, and all the animals they met and how they felt about it, and just everything. And so that ended up being the novel. And it's like I said, it's based, a lot of the stories are quite accurately true of what really happened, but some of them are, just storytelling. So um, that's how the novel came about. And then when I was in Africa, I wasn't able to get a job working directly with the elephants. They
Mm.
weren't giving out work permits for
Mm.
conservation at that time. But I was offered a job working with some rescued girls, young girls, mostly as young as sixth grade who had been assaulted, and they had babies.
Oh, wow.
And they were extremely poor.
Hmm.
And they really had some of them had nowhere to go because sometimes the assault was from a family member
Right.
and they felt like they couldn't go home. So they I was the environmental director. So I just by talking to them, I learned that they, even though they live in Kenya, which is a beautiful, beautiful country filled with lots of wonderful wildlife, they knew nothing about nature, nothing.
Mm,
They had never even seen an elephant, even
really?
though they lived in a short distance from national parks where they could
Wow.
have seen them,
Yeah.
or even in the wild. But I didn't realize the depth of the poverty there. I mean, they're so poor that many people there, they never leave their one spot. No, they live in one spot and that's it. Even
Interesting.
some of the people who they carve statues of
Hmm.
rhinos and elephants, and they've never seen one. They
Really?
pass it down the craft from their grandfathers or something. It's really amazing. And then these girls had never been to a restaurant. They had never seen an elephant. So I started a program for them, an environmental program,
Hmm.
and we talked about things, and they were pretty downtrodden. I mean, imagine a teenage girl. They always quit school. They never go back. So I used the elephant as a role model for them, and I told them the elephant is the leader of the herd, is a strong mother.
Yeah.
She's the oldest mother and she leads the herd and they all listen to her. And I say, when you go home, you're going to be a leader, a matriarch too, because you
Right.
have a baby and you're going to be a leader of your community and you'll
Sure.
teach them about the environment. And that message really resonated, with them. And so I ended up taking them all over, and they even got to meet baby elephants and
Mm.
feed them, and I took them to lunch in a lodge, and it was a wonderful experience. I've been thinking about the human wildlife conflict over there.
Yeah.
A lot of these rural areas are right up against the national parks, and there's no fences on the parks. It's
Right.
all wild animals. So when there's a drought or when they have to go for various reasons, they cross the border, and there's these little towns there and farms, and that's where the human wildlife conflict is
Mm.
because they're mostly undereducated people there. They don't know how to deal with the wildlife, and they're the ones that shoot them. On the other side of it, it's dangerous for them, and they're
Sure.
worried, and their crops get eaten, and they're very poor. So I've identified an area in Kenya that's right outside of the Tsavo National Park, which is
Okay.
actually the largest national park in all of Africa.
Mm.
Beautiful park, thousands of animals. And uh, I think I wanted to build a center there, a community center with some educational aspects and a lot of environmental aspects. And so I was able to get some land there.
Oh, wow.
Um, uh, Yeah, I happened to make friends with a woman who was from that area, and she also loves elephants.
Yeah.
And she got her grandfather to donate 5 acres of land. So we have this land,
That's amazing.
and we have this woman, and she has a cousin who's very ardent about climate change, and he's trying to help the people, and they have absolutely no money. And then there's Hari, the guy who hired me to work with the girls in the first place,
Hmm.
and he always had dreams of starting a new kind of school. So we want to have a new it'll be like a community center but with education, and help the girls get more educated, help the
Hmm.
whole community get educated, protect the wildlife, and protect the people. So that's my latest project. And there's a little bit written about it in the book too, because the woman in the book, who's based on me basically,
Hmm.
she works with the girls and she has the ideas, the same kind of idea. Um, so that's a big project for me. I've never done something like that before, and I'm up against a lot of red tape and
Yeah.
governmental things, which I definitely not my forte. So
Sure.
I'm really hoping to find somebody who likes the project, who's a little bit better at that, who can help me along in certain aspects of it over here, to raise money. And And then my other big project right now is I've been writing the screenplay about the novel, Terriers in the Jungle, the
Mm-hmm.
screenplay. And that's I'm on my third draft, and it's difficult, to get somebody to look at your draft,
Yeah.
and then if you do get somebody, it has to go through different layers usually, and there's a problem because the some of the readers, I mean, they have, a screenplay is it's not like a novel where you could
Sure.
kind of go anywhere you want to go. They want you to be very succinct in a certain way throughout the novel. And that's kind of the thing I've been trying to figure out, because there's a lot of things I want to make sure that are in the story,
Right.
um, because it has a lot of themes about conservation, but it also has the two dogs, and they become heroes, and there's a lot going on. So it kind of reminds me. I mean, this is maybe presumptuous on my part, and it is, but if just saying as a type, if you've seen the Del Toro's new film Pinocchio,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've seen that. It's
Yeah.
it's fabulous,
Great movie.
and it's like, 'cause people always say to me, "Oh, they wonder if it's a children's story because the
Mm.
dogs are talking."
Right.
And Pinocchio was also that way, a children's story, but it's got some really elements in it that are much bigger than for children.
Sure.
And that's kind of the way my story is too. And it's got some dark with things in it, but it also has a lot of joy and animal happiness and things like that in it. So I'm been trying to figure out the best way to go forward with that.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, selling a script is a big, big deal. Trust me, I know. I've been trying to sell my TV show for some time now, and going
Really?
through negotiations. It's a lot of it's a lot of hurdles to go through.
Yeah, I saw that your film was doing really well and you're making a TV show right
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah. We just
That's great.
we're just finished our fifth episode. We're in post production on that one. We have three completed,
Oh, wow.
and we just finished the Borrego Springs Film Festival this past weekend, and so it was a full house. It's been doing good so far. So um, we're still
That's
going at it,
great.
trying to film more episodes and trying to get it out to the public. And same with you. It's a educational show, and teach people about animal awareness and the issues that are going on in today's world.
Right. But mine wasn't be a documentary. I mean, even though it does have some true things in there, I
Right.
mean, it's the dog's story.
Right. It's the dog. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and I was, several people have said to me, maybe it would be better to have it as a series because there's so many different stories
It's
within the
possible.
story, episodes and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe you and I will talk about it sometime as a collaboration. I don't know
Absolutely.
if
Yeah.
you're
You never
interested in
know.
that.
Definitely. I mean, it's definitely
Yeah,
in my realm. Anything animal educational, that's what I love to do.
awesome. I,
So
I love that.
are you
And it
now
does.
living full time in Kenya, or are you in the States as well?
No, I live in Santa Monica.
Oh, in
Santa
Santa
Monica. Yeah,
Monica.
I came
Okay.
home because, yeah, you live in Venice, right?
Yeah,
I
I
read
grew
that
up in
in your.
Venice Beach. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Well, I've
not too
lived in
far
Santa
from you.
Monica for a long. Right. Yeah. No, we should get together sometime, have a cup of coffee or something.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, this is. I had to come back because when I had this idea about building this place, I knew I'd have to raise money
Sure.
at home. Over there, people are so poor. I mean, wow. Um, but I didn't know anyway, I'm still trying to work it out. Is there some simple way I can do it? Because I don't want to be dealing with government entities my whole life.
Right.
Um, I want to just get it off the ground, and then be like an advisor or somebody who goes over there and helps set things up. But it's not going to be. I'm not going to live there all the time.
Gotcha. So
And I
so
want
you
to do
have the
some.
5 acres already, and you at this point you're just fundraising to try to get the actual center up and running, correct?
Yes, but I haven't actually done any fundraising yet because you have to have, I mean, now I did receive a nonprofit status from California, but then to get the 501c3 status is trickier. So
Mm,
I don't have that yet.
okay.
So, I've been told it's better if you're going to ask people for money if you have a 501c3. So I'm
Right.
trying to see if it's going to be worth it to jump through all the hurdles to get the 501c3, or maybe there's another way, because that stuff just, ooh, it's not my wheelhouse at all.
Yeah.
Um,
No, absolutely. A lot of the
yeah.
organizations I work with are 501c nonprofits, and
Really?
they'll tell me that it takes quite some time to get it up and running.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really wish I had a partner here. I've got the partners in Kenya. And if I had somebody who knew a little more about the 501c3 thing and how to get things going,
Mm-hmm.
that would help. I mean, I have a few friends who said they would help with different things, but I don't have somebody who's really grounded in that kind of information yet.
Right.
So,
Now, would the goal be to have, for example, some of the women that you've worked with that organization to come out and help with that and have them continue the animal awareness?
who? The
The with the women that
you
you've
mean the
been
girls
working
I work?
with the
Oh,
other
sure. Yeah,
organization?
actually, yes, actually, two of them, the oldest, two oldest ones had actually barely finished high school. They finished with D minuses.
Mm-hmm.
So I was able to send them back for a rehabilitative classes till they got their grade up, and then send them to junior college. And they're both got teaching certificates now, and one of
That's
them is
great.
teaching already. Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
That's
So
awesome.
that's the thing about Kenya, i- I mean, the upper, like the college part, isn't that expensive, but
Mm-hmm.
everybody has to pay something to send their kids to school, which I wish they would change that policy because there's so many poor people who are struggling, and they're just struggling, and they can just barely afford to send their kid to school,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. No, it's
So,
understandable, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's good that you were out there making change and being able to talk to these young women and teach them that there's a whole nother world out there that they can be a part of.
right. Yeah, no, it was wonderful, a privilege to be able to be in that position, really. And I just kept thinking, there's got to be some way I can help elephants. And then this was the way I figured out it was the best thing I could do at the time. I pictured myself like working at the Sheldrick Nursery with the baby elephants
Mm-hmm.
or being in the field. But, I was told I couldn't work with the baby elephants because I'm too small.
Mm.
Because even though they're babies, they weigh 200 pounds, and sometimes you have to like corral them back into their stall at night, and I wouldn't be strong enough to do that. So um, anyway, we just take one step in front of the other and see what life brings us, right?
Right. Absolutely. So it shows here that you had a chance to be at the Sheldrick Sanctuary in Africa.
Oh yeah, I was there every time. Many, many, many times. I got to know them all pretty well. In fact,
Really?
I dedicated my book to them. Yes, they're a wonderful organization. Just astoundingly wonderful. I mean, Daphne Sheldrick. I don't know when she started doing her work.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say it must have been like in the 50s, 60s, something like that. She married a ranger, a park ranger, and he actually was the founder of the Savo Park. And she and he lived in the park, and she would always rescue these orphan babies. And um, she rescued a baby elephant, and this was her first one. And so there were two things. One, she had to figure out how to feed them milk because they stay with their mother for 2 years drinking the milk.
Mm-hmm.
And when they're separated from their mother, the mother dies. She had to go through a lot of different formulations to find something that would work with the elephants. And she finally did. And it's a formula they still use today. And she also discovered that the baby elephants, they get so attached. Like this one she rescued got so attached to her, was always with her, was wonderful for her, but when her daughter got married and she had to go out of the to the a town for 3 days, the elephant died of a broken heart.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, and that taught her that, at the sanctuary, there's so many caretakers and they rotate. They just don't keep one with
Mm,
one all the time because elephants get really attached.
interesting.
So they are always separating, but they're just so wonderful to the baby elephants. They sleep in their corral with them at night, especially when they're first in the sanctuary,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them are freaked out because they are half dead, they were starving,
Mm,
or they saw their mother get killed or something horrible happened to
right.
them, and they nurse them back. They give them all the veterinary care, and then you see these baby elephants running around with little blankets on them to keep them warm. And but they after they a little bit of time, everyone's different, they start to interact with each other,
Mm-hmm.
and then they just start growing and having a blast. And you could see they just have a great time, these elephants. And they have this, right now, there's so many. They have so many because of the drought. A lot of
Oh, really?
elephants died. So they have so many babies. And you could see the babies. I mean, they get into the whole routine. They take them out they live on the nursery is on the edge of the Nairobi National Park. And so every day the caretakers take them out to the wild part of the park
Yeah.
and they learn how to forage,
Oh,
on
good.
the trees and everything. And then they take them back, and little by little they learn. And then once they get to be around 2, 3 years old, they take them from the nursery and they bring them out to the Savo Park, to one of their outposts. And there they have more freedom. They don't, they start to, they still takes them a few years to
Mm-hmm.
integrate, but little by little, they start going further out to the wild, meeting wild elephants. And then they just become wild. They become a part of a herd, or they start their own herd. And then most beautiful thing is they've already had, I believe it's already 55 different elephants that went through that whole process.
Yeah.
They went out, became wild, and then they had a baby, and they bring their baby back to show the caretakers.
No way. That's amazing. Wow.
Isn't it? It's just really so, it's just so wonderful.
It's that's
They're my
touching.
favorite organization. Yeah,
Wow. To
it's
to
just
think that
fabulous.
if I was one of the caretakers and to have one of these elephants come back and show me one of its babies, that has to be uh, I can't imagine the feeling of that. That's got to be such an amazing.
Oh, I know. Can you imagine? Oh, and they come back sometimes like right away. The baby's like 2 days old,
Yeah.
little tiny baby.
Wow.
And it just shows that they really consider the caretaker as part
They
of their family.
they do. Yeah, it almost seems like it's they're coming back and showing you like thank you for taking care of me. Let me introduce you to my family.
Right.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
So,
elephants are the best. I mean, oh, I
what
just adore elephants.
what were sort of the things that you were doing? How did you come about to go and volunteer at this sanctuary?
Well, I wasn't really volunteering there. I was a visitor there, and I was an adopted parent, so
Okay.
I got to visit my babies a lot over the years. But I tried to get a job with them. I had became friends with one of their main photographers. He said he could use some help, and we went to Angela, who's now Daphne was the one who founded, and now her daughter Angela is in charge. And Angela, she didn't want to hire
Hmm.
somebody from America. I mean, I think that they try to keep it mostly either in their family or local
Hmm.
Kenyans, because
Hmm.
her family is originally English,
Okay.
but they've been Kenyans for decades,
Right.
but they're all of her family is involved. Her sons both fly little planes to look out over and make sure there's no animals in need.
Hmm.
And over the years, I mean, when I first started going there, maybe 12, 13 years ago, it wasn't that well known. But over those period of time, it's worldwide. If you, they post a lot of things on Facebook.
Yeah.
Everything you see on there, it's got like at least 62,000 likes. I mean, they have people all over the world who go there to see the elephants and learn about them and
Hmm.
support them and adopt baby elephants. And and they use the money wisely. I mean, they buy these little planes so they can go out and see which animals are in trouble. They have another whole team that goes out and cuts wire because people try to poach animals,
Mm.
and they with these wires, and some of them get stuck. And they have had a few elephants whose trunk was stuck in a
Yeah.
wire. And one of the ones I adopted, in Keisha, she had a big hole in her trunk, and they tried to they she had a surgery, but she pulled all the stitches out the next day.
Oh, wow.
And so they just kind of left it alone. And little by little, I used to watch her. She was very young when I was there, and I used to see her a lot. And I saw every time I saw her, she was like trying to do things with her
Mm.
trunk. And you wouldn't even hardly tell. There's a like it slowly kind of came back together, and she got very agile with it, so she could do anything with it that a regular elephant can do. And lots of stories like that, and it's just like so heartwarming. And when you're around a baby elephant, I mean, I used to when I first time I went there, and my first adopted elephants, this little one, Turkwell, she was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
She was so pretty. Some of them are just they have this pretty look, and some of them have a tough look. But I used to just stand there next to her, and I could kind of feel her energy,
Yeah.
and it was like, wow, their brains are so much bigger than ours.
Sure.
Think of all the ways that they use their brains that we can't, because we don't have that big of a brain or that kind of a brain. And I
Right.
used to just love soaking up her energy, you know, and I'm starting to really miss the elephants now. So I'm going to have to think about that when I could go back and get a elephant fix,
Yeah. So eventually, your organization that you plan on having there in those acres that you mentioned, are there elephants in that area?
Oh yeah, see, they're right outside the national park,
Oh.
Savo Park. So the elephants, they go there. They walk through. They eat the crops. They eat the fruit trees, and they scare the people. And there's been conflicts, and people have been hurt, and elephants have been killed.
Oh, wow.
That's why I wanted to do something in that area specifically, because it doesn't seem like, even though there's some really fabulous organizations in Kenya
Right.
that are helping elephants and other animals, they all seem to be in certain areas that they said this is their area that they really guard. And like with Sheldrick, they also help other organizations, and their area in
Hmm.
Savo Park is enormous. They do the whole park. But I get the feeling that there's not enough attention paid to right over the border of this park, because there's so much problems there. So I wanted to do something to help the people, and then help the elephants, basically, mostly.
Right. Right. No, and that makes sense. I think having an organization like that where they can teach conservation and animal awareness, uh, where we all know there's hardly any type of that education anywhere here. I mean, including here in the States. I mean, unless
That's
you're going to
right.
college
That's right.
specifically for
Just
that, there's not
yeah,
much of that
specifically
type of
for
education.
to learn about the environment. That's what we're lacking.
Yeah,
That's why we have so many problems today with climate change. and
I
and
agree.
the people over there are even less educated, surprisingly, except the ones who are really involved in it. And like I say, there's a lot of great conservationists there, and a lot of studies have been done there. But still, the average person is not involved
Right.
and does not have the education of it. So, especially in an area like this province is called Taita Taveta, they need it. They really
Yeah.
need it. Um, so I'm hoping it'll work out. If I can figure it out. If I
Yeah,
get some nice
absolutely.
help.
And definitely
Yeah.
let us know where we can go out and help if once you have that paperwork ready and we can go ahead and donate to get that organization up and running.
Oh, thank you. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I'm hoping that one of the things I sort of envision is that once it gets start going, to have people from around the world um, who are involved with animals and climate change,
Mm-hmm.
to go over there and spend a week there or
Yeah.
a few days, and teach what they know to the local people there. And then I envision those people becoming really smart, and then they will have a wider influence with the people around them. So um, I'm hoping. I mean, so far, people I've mentioned it to said, yeah, they would love to do something like that.
Oh
So,
yeah, that sounds
but I
like an
mean,
amazing
it's
idea.
still a dream at this time. I mean, I was able to. I kept thinking, if my book is successful, I'll be able to build this thing.
Yeah,
And then I find out, well, even though it won 8 awards,
right.
and even though it was #1 in animal fiction for a while, it doesn't sell. It's not like a huge bestseller, and
Sure.
the percentage that you get back on each book is not great.
Right.
I mean, it's not enough to build a school.
Right.
It's maybe enough to help pay for the permits and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So then I was saying, well, maybe my movie will hit, and then I'll really be able to do it. But we know how long that takes to even get going.
Yeah,
So
that takes some time. You might be able to get the 501c nonprofit paperwork before that.
yeah, I
It does
guess
take a
so.
while. So
Yeah.
if our audience wanted to purchase your book and read it, where can they go and check it out?
Amazon or Barnes and Noble have it
Okay.
online.
Okay.
hmm
And
Those are the main
they can
ones.
just
I mean, yeah, just go to Terriers in the Jungle, and
Terriers in the Jungle.
you'll see it right there. Yeah, Georgia Umano, that's me. And also, I forgot to mention that I have a lot of illustrations in here by Kenyan artists.
Really?
So that makes it a little more interesting too. Yeah, yeah. And some of them are very original. Some of them are based on photographs that I took, and I asked them to draw an illustration. But it's pretty cool, really. Most of the animal lovers that I know, they really like the book.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm hoping that maybe there's a way to get it to go bigger, but
Absolutely.
I'm just, I'm not sure what that way is yet. And I've tried,
Well, we're
but
promoting it here on the show, so
I
we're hoping
appreciate
that
that
we get
so
more
much.
people to
Yeah,
purchase the book and read it and love it.
yeah. Thank you. And they can, and by purchasing the book, they will help contribute to this project because I'm using the money I get from that book on the project.
There you go, folks. So support. You can help that project. That way we can help the elephants as well.
Yay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
come to Kenya. I just tell everybody who hasn't been to Africa,
I would
Kenya
love
is
to.
the best country. I mean, not that I've been to every country, I haven't,
Sure.
but I know that in the southern part of Africa, where there's a lot of elephants and wildlife, there's also trophy hunting
Yeah.
and poaching.
Yeah.
And
Unfortunately.
it's really, I could not, it's too sad. I mean, when I was going to Kenya, I went to Kenya 2010, 2011,
Mm-hmm.
2012. And in 2012, that's when they had the really big poaching crisis started.
Mm.
I saw dead animals in the field. It was so sad. I mean, I just couldn't, I didn't go back again for 5 years
Really.
till they got it under control. Yeah, and in Kenya, it's much more under control than most of the other countries. And they don't have trophy hunting. They don't. They're very anti-poaching, and they do something about it.
Good.
Not like other countries that don't really do as enough.
Right.
And they have so many great conservationists there, and it's a beautiful country. And the tourism there is fabulous. I mean, they really have a good handle on tourism. If you go, like you go to on a safari, and there's
Mm-hmm.
all different levels of safari and kinds, they give you good food, man. I mean, they will cook for you and they will serve you. I mean, you will feel great.
That's amazing.
While you're,
I would love to. I love traveling a lot, and Africa's always been on my number one list. But I know it's such a huge venture that it's not cheap. I know that for sure.
well, it's not cheap, but it's not, I mean, yeah, that's true. You have to kind of know the ropes. And, I was even thinking maybe I should try to put a couple of little groups together, but I just don't really have time to do that because
Right.
of my other two big projects. But someday,
Yeah,
um, you know, maybe you'll come over and show your movie to the girls and the other people in
I would
this
love to.
little area. And And I'm hoping other people will too, and maybe you'll make a film about it, even about the school or the project, you know.
I think that sounds like a great idea. I would love to do something like that. Like I mentioned before, anything animal awareness and education and documentaries and animals, I am there.
Well, you know, that would be really helpful to us too, especially like if there was a way you could go over there early on and just survey the place even
Yeah,
before we put anything down and talk to the locals and find out what the story is. And then you could follow it along as they maybe in the beginning we'll just have a couple of rooms or buildings before we have everything up. And then
yeah,
it would be, I mean, it would be costly in the sense that you'd have to go to Africa a few times.
sure.
But, you know, we always save our frequent flyer miles. And that you know, that goes a long way. You know,
Yeah, it does.
if you buy everything on your credit card that gets frequent flyer miles, we hardly ever pay for our airfare to Africa. You know.
That's great. Oh yeah. Well, definitely. I
Yeah.
would love to be. I mean, I'm definitely interested, and I would love to go out there and start the process on filming this, and maybe get something on
Really?
video to show investors this is the sort of thing
Yeah,
that we're
that would
trying to
even
do.
help. Definitely. That would be very, and you could deduct it as a cost, you know, because you would be putting your labor into helping the 501c3, hopefully, if we get it. I mean, if we don't get it, I'm still going to try to keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, maybe we can talk about that some more because I hope to go over there. I'm not sure exactly when, but at some point before it starts the building
Okay.
to just make sure we're all on the same page over there. And
Yeah.
that would be a great time for you to come too.
Absolutely. I would love to. I think we
You're
need to
available.
get
Maybe.
together after this podcast and get some coffee and chat over some details because I'm like I said, I'm there. I got my bags practically packed.
Really? Awesome. Wow, that's my kind of guy. Yeah. Let's do it. I think that would really go far because then especially we can put it on the website and we tell
Yeah.
people this is what we're doing and then
Yeah.
they'll see it visually and I think it would be really fantastic.
Absolutely. I
And
agree.
then you
I think
be
it's
a
a
part of
wonderful
it.
idea.
Sounds great to me, and I'm so happy I met you. And it's funny I never met you before, but I guess you know we live in a big area. It's
We
hard
do.
to know, even though you have a lot of people nearby that you probably really would connect with, but you never met them, right?
Yeah. No, it's so true. But the whole animal world it's a small world, so eventually we'll get to know each other.
Yeah, yeah. Let's make it sooner rather than later. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well,
Think about Kenya.
yeah, Georgia, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I think everything that
Thanks for
you were talking
having
about
me.
was
It's great.
fascinating. I'm really hyped about talking more about us going out to Africa and getting this project up and running. I think that sounds like an amazing project. Great, Georgia. Well, I'll go ahead and put the link of your book on there on the podcast so people can go to the link and purchase the book and give a good review. And but I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming on to the show. Let's definitely keep in touch and let's talk more
Definitely.
about this future project of ours.